Greetings! In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the matte acrylic paints made by Decoart. The range that I wanted to take a deeper look at is named Americana. It is a very wide selection of nicely matte acrylic paints sold in 2 ounces bottles. I reached out to Decoart and they very kindly sent me a dozen colors to try out and talk about. I chose these 12 colors: Sunny Day, Saffron Yellow, Tangerine, Watermelon Slice, Dragon Fruit, Purple Cow, Periwinkle, Desert Cactus, Hussar Medium Green, Honey Brown, Sable Brown, and Light Cinnamon. They don't have any pigment information on the packaging, and I wasn't able to find info about that online. These are acrylic paints, so they dry permanent. They also dry fast. The finish is matte and they are generally opaque. I'll talk more about opacity later. They are what is often referred to as craft paints, in the sense that they can be used for a lot of purposes. You can do art with them, but also use them for decor, craft, and fixing things that need a minor paint job. They are super affordable at around $2 per bottle, easy to find, light fast according to Decoart, and the color range has 264 colors. That's a lot! They keep adding new colors too. 6 of them were added in 2020. Decoart has other ranges and paint finishes available. I wanted to focus on the Americana paints because of a medium we see a lot in the art world, Acrylic Gouache. It has the most confusing name, but it's basically just matte acrylic paint. As a fine art supply, it retails for a substantial amount of money. I wanted to paint with the much more affordable Americana paints and see how well they compare. Now, about opacity. No matter how much we are told the paint is opaque, it's ultimately a matter of pigment. With watercolor, we see a lot of transparent pigments. Those pigments, added to an acrylic binder, won't become more opaque instantly. Most acrylic binders dry translucent, if not completely transparent. To make a transparent pigment opaque, one can either add a lot of the pigment or add white or any other opaque pigment to the paint. In the first situation, the strength of the binder might not be enough to hold onto all that color. We see that a lot with regular gouache. The most transparent and intense colors will often rub off with gouache. With acrylic, we might get an imbalance if we add too much pigment in, and the paint will not dry well. It might crack or fall apart. If we add white to a pigment, it will become more opaque, of course, but it will also change the color itself. My point with all of this is to show that some colors, like the saffron yellow on my chart, will have less coverage than other colors, like the purple cow one. And it's normal. It's in the nature of the color. The advantage here of acrylic paints when it comes to opacity is that we can easily layer them on and on and on, and it will not affect the previous layers. More layers will make for a more opaque finish. Today's video has been in the works for a really long time. I originally painted a completely different image. It was a landscape and really didn't turn out well, in my opinion. The only part of it that I like is the gradient I did for the sky. I set that painting aside and started sketching new ideas. I wanted something where I wouldn't try to use all the colors I have in the same painting. I prefer to work with a limited color selection and a limited palette. I made 2 groups of 6 colors and planned my paintings accordingly. The other change that I did is more in terms of supplies. I purchased a bottle of titanium white paint. I realized that it's a very useful color to have. It can cover up mistakes and give some more substance to a lightened color. I tried lightening colors the watercolor way first, by adding water to them. It works, but it's not ideal for a smooth layer. So while I have no use for white watercolor, white matte acrylic is quite handy. So these are the two paintings I made at my second go at it, and I'm much happier with them. In both attempts, the paints were never an issue. I was able to get lovely gradients in the first painting and super clean textures when I used a sponge on that one. The ability to layer the paints and not disturb the previous layer is really great. It's a big change from being used to watercolors. The colors mixed well together and laid down smoothly without any streaks. And they are matte, which is the most important thing in my opinion. Overall, I think these paints are amazing. They are very well suited to illustration and sketchbook work. I want to mention again that there's no pigment info for these, and I know that is bound to annoy a few people. Aside from that though, I really love these. Great performance, incredible range available, very affordable, matte. If matte acrylic is something that interests you, I'd highly recommend taking a look at these. So what do you think? Do you use Decoart's paints? Let me know in the comments below. Take care, bye bye.